bird. Welcome back, guys. We're going to give everybody a couple minutes just to get back in. Sorry, we're having some really spotty network issues here at the museum that we're trying very hard to fix. Hopefully this will work this time. Alright, it looks like we got just about everybody back that we had before. Again, I apologize. We are having some network issues here at the museum, so we are actively trying to work on that so we can give you guys your live updates every day. Again, my name is Robin Sutker. I'm the bird and mammal curator here at the Virginia Living Museum. And happy Memorial Day to everyone, and thank you to all who have served our great country. This is Ollie the Screech Owl. She arrived here in about 2012 and was actually rehabilitated on property here when we had a rehabilitator's license. We do not currently have a license, so you'll hear me repeat that many times. We cannot accept orphaned and injured wildlife at this point because we do not have a license to do so, and it's actually against state law for us to possess native wildlife without the proper permits and whatnot. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Hopefully you guys saw my blog post from last week. I believe it went out on Friday about what exactly to do if you find orphaned and injured wildlife. And our hope really is to give you guys a little bit of education so that way you don't feel like you found it. Now what? Who do I call? Do I call the police department? The answer is no, don't call the police department. So let's say you guys were out and you found a little bird like maybe Ollie here who has an eye injury, and she might be able to see that on her left eye, but she's showing you her right eye kind of now. She likes to look at me. She's also kind of keeping her good eye out for any potential birds overhead. She likes to watch them a lot. So if you guys did find an animal like this out in the wild, if you were to think maybe they were in distress, or you found a baby deer fawn, or a baby bird, would you guys know what to do? So that's kind of why I wrote that blog. We get calls all the time about people that find different animals out in the wild, and actually Courtney, our herpetologist, is going to talk a little bit about what to do if you find a snake or a turtle or something this afternoon. So I can kind of touch on that a little bit, but definitely our herp keepers are going to be able to tell you a little bit more. So definitely feel free to ask any questions. Maybe you guys found something in your backyard over the weekend, or you've seen lots of different birds in your area, or mammals even, and then I can get you guys resources a little bit later if I can't answer your questions. So just a little bit about my background. I went to Penn State University, and I interned at a wildlife when I was there, so I got to see a black bear cub, nurse a whole bunch of fawn babies, lots and lots of songbirds, which you guys can see pictures of in the blog, as well as some owls, some that actually would have grown up to look like Ollie here. And then I've also worked with great blue heron, a whole bunch of ducks, squirrels, skunks even. If you've read the article, then spoiler alert, I've been sprayed in the face by a skunk, a baby skunk, but it wasn't fun. I don't recommend it for anybody, but I've at least done it once, so that's fun. So I have a little bit of background in it, which is really useful because I got a lot of my sort of early animal handling experience there. Kind of the big thing with rehab is when the animal comes in, you want to assess them, make sure they're doing okay, figure out how old they are. If it's not easy to tell, you get them cataloged and sort of all the paperwork done, which of course everybody loves paperwork, but unfortunately you can't even get away from it even with wildlife. And then you see if they need any medical care. So mind you, a lot of these rehabbers do not have any income. All of the money that they get is through donations. So that's through all of your kind support, just like we rely on you guys here at the museum. However, rehabbers are generally closed to the public. The Wildlife Center of Virginia, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours from here, they do accept public occasionally. Obviously they're closed right now. But you can't actually access any of their holding paddocks for any of the animals. For example, right now you guys can see they have a webcam of some of their black bears that are up. So a couple black bear cubs that they're actually going to overwinter and then release next year, I believe. So that's pretty cool. So again, going back to if you guys do find wildlife, what do you do? So those of you who have read my blog, hopefully by now you know that the answer is you call your local wildlife rehabber. So they will be the best people for you to be asking all those questions to about, I found this thing, what do I do with it? A lot of times, honestly, wildlife doesn't need our help. They're pretty hardwired to take care of themselves, even kind of those nestlings and things like that. A lot of times the birds that you'll find on the ground don't actually need our help at all. Their parents are still taking care of them, and they're supposed to actually leave the nest. And even though they look really awkward and goofy hopping around on the ground, that's actually what they're supposed to be doing. Another good example are deer fawn. You guys are going to be seeing them a lot, especially this weekend. This is what we call baby. You're going to see babies everywhere. So if you're out maybe hiking, carefully social distance, or maybe you have a really rural backyard and you happen to stumble upon a deer fawn. Whoop, come here, Ollie. Ollie got a little spooked there. Maybe if you stumble upon a deer fawn that is laying down in the bushes, you might think maybe its mom's abandoned it, but 9 times out of 10 that's not the case. So usually you'll see a picture that floats around on the internet of a deer fawn, so it's still got his brown and white spots on him, and he's pretty much hunkered down in the bushes. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. So baby deer or fawns will actually lay down quietly while mom goes off and eats and forages for herself. So they sit there, they don't make a noise, they're tucked up in a nice little package, and it actually helps them hide from predators that way. So it's a really, really cool evolutionary adaptation, both for mom and for baby. So mom gets a little bit of free time to go out and replenish her energy stores, and baby gets to take some quality nap time. You might even see them with their eyes open, but that's totally fine. So again, go to my blog, and you can see some notes on what to really look for if a baby fawn is in distress. But again, everything is situational. So Ollie just happened to see a crow that flew overhead, so her eyeballs might be really big right now. So everything that you guys would have a question about, certainly we are subject matter experts about native Virginia animals, but we're not available to talk to, whereas wildlife rehabbers are. So if you're wondering now, where do we go to actually find the information for wildlife rehabbers? On the blog, which is on our website, thevlm.org, and we have a link that's actually dropped into the comments here directly to the blog. There are direct links in there for if you live in Maryland or North Carolina, how to actually locate your local licensed wildlife rehabber. And the reason I keep emphasizing license is, like I said before, it is illegal to have wildlife in your house or in your care without that actual license. So rehabbers go through a lot of training, and there's actually a lot of different mentoring and shadowing and things like that that they do in addition to the actual hands-on work, in order to be actually able to rehab and release those animals. So all that information is on there. There's also information on there for how to figure out, if you're not in the states that I listed, how to be able to Google or internet search for whatever state you're in. So let's say you live in the state of New York, where I'm from. You would essentially just Google New York licensed wildlife rehabilitator, and usually one of the state departments for that state will pop up. So for here, it's the VDGIF, that's the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries. Try saying that 3 times fast. In other places, it's DNR. So, you can't always go by the wording with that, but if you type in your state and then licensed wildlife rehabilitator, there will be sources for you on there. Ollie seems to be checking out something in the trees. So if you guys notice that Ollie, our screech owl, gets really, really skinny at some point, she basically sucks all of her feathers in. She's trying to make herself look like a tree, like a little stick. So right now she's actually pretty relaxed. Her little ear tufts are actually pretty relaxed as well. And she's kind of casually looking around a little bit. But obviously she wants to make sure that she's always on the defensive, able to protect herself. This is one of the ways that we showcase our wildlife ambassadors here. They will be out, let's say on the floor at an event, or maybe when we're open to the public, they can come and meet you guys. So obviously Ollie here, as we talked about before, is kind of wildlife. She was rehabilitated. She is non-releasable. We are guessing that she is a girl based on her weight and other characteristics. She has what is called a blown pupil in her left eye. So right now you guys can just see her right eye, but if she does turn her head, you can actually see her left eye, which is actually blown basically. So it looks like it's almost too big. So she would not be able to effectively hunt in the wild on her own. And this unfortunately is very common in a lot of raptor species, especially owls. Now we don't know exactly what happened to Ollie to cause this to happen, but 90% I would say, and that's very much a made-up number, but a very high percentage of owls that we see come into rehabs are car strikes. Usually what happens is people throw food out of their window, so now you can actually see that left pupil there. That is actually not a regular size. That is quite abnormal. See how big it is there. So a lot of times people will throw food, french fries, bags, whatnot out the window of their cars while they're driving, or just, you know, debris will kind of wash away down the side of the road. And then actually mice and other small animals may go out and pick at it, and then these guys will actually fly down to kind of get that almost free and easy snack on the side of the road, and then they wind up getting hit by cars. So you guys can also do your part by making sure you're not littering, making sure that all your trash cans are nice and secure, so that way other animals are not going in and out. As you guys know, wildlife are very opportunistic, especially in the Virginia area. We have things like foxes, raccoons, opossums, you know, you name it, they're probably going to try to go in your garbage can. Bears are obviously a really easy one to think about that are out in the western part of our state. So really all those little actions that you do can help save these guys in the long run. So Ollie came here, like I said, in about 2012, and she was rehabilitated on site here. We had a licensed rehabber at the time. She is no longer working here. She's moved on to another place. So we cannot currently accept wildlife that is orphaned or injured, but we can be referred by the VDGIF, so the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, as well as the Wildlife Center of Virginia, to now provide a permanent home for any of these animals that are otherwise healthy and can serve as ambassadors for their animals in the wild. So we do have quite a decent population of these guys here. Not a lot of these native species are really showcased a lot in human care, so a lot of facilities across the country and even around the world don't really have a lot of native American wildlife, especially not for the East Coast. You know, something like this little Ollie here is maybe not as big and charismatic as some of her larger owl cousins, and maybe those white-tailed deer fawn that we get every other year or so are not as charismatic as big bison or elk or anything like that. Also, most of these animals are not endangered. The screech owls, for example, are not endangered. They're not threatened. They're doing just fine. And a lot of these animals would be able to take advantage of human settlements and things like that. So just by us being here, foxes and raccoons and all those other animals we talked about are actually doing better than a lot of the other species in the area. So actually I do have a question that just came in. Gavin, age 7, would like to know, what do owls eat? Gavin, that's a great question, because based on Ollie's size, she would probably eat things that are pretty small, and that would be a really good guess. So Ollie eats mice. She also eats chicks, so baby birds. And in the wild, she would eat very similar things. Anything that she can kind of get her claws on, probably up to something that was about the same size as her, so maybe like a big baby bunny or something like that, but she does eat all meat. She doesn't like any vegetables or anything like that, and actually I can see she's actually watching a cardinal right now out to my left, who you guys might be able to hear chirp. So she's still got that, you know, that hunting instinct, but unfortunately she would not be very successful with that eye, on top of which owls only tend to hunt at night, so I think she'd be a little off her mark if she tried to hunt today. I'm so sorry, no hunting for you. But that about wraps it up for kind of my talk about wildlife rehab. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I will get back to you. And if I can't figure it out, I got enough links, you know, to make sure that we can do that. Oh, we have one more question that came in. How old is Ollie, and is this the biggest that she will get? So Ollie is about 10 years old now, or estimated. She was estimated hatched in 2009, so she's just about 10 or so, give or take. And this is the biggest that she will get. So I'll hold my hand up next to her. I would say I have a pretty average size hand. And I'm just about touching her, so you can see really just about how big she is. Scoot her over a little bit so you guys can get her full view. So this is my hand behind her, and that is literally as big as she will get. She is a full-grown adult. When they hatch, they're only probably about this big or so, and then they very quickly become this size, and they look just kind of fluffy and awkward until they get all this beautiful plumage in after that. and this stuff actually helps them kind of blend in the wild. So this is called a red phase. So you can see it's kind of auburn reddish, as opposed to a gray phase, which would be a little bit closer to the bark of this wood, if you guys can see that. So you would generally find her around a lot of pine trees, so the loblolly pines that we have around here, and other things like that. So believe it or not, she actually does blend in quite well, just not so much with my hand. So we are going to wrap it up, guys. Again, thanks so much for joining us today. If you want to help Ollie and other animals like her here at the Virginia Living Museum, you can always contribute to our emergency care fund. We, like a lot of other nonprofits, are struggling during this very difficult time. We want to make sure that we're bringing the best and most accurate wildlife to you guys, as well as all of our other wonderful exhibits that we have here. You guys can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and Twitter. I knew I always forget one. At any time for any of our cool content that we have. We always have new stuff coming out and new and engaging stories about our animals here. And then again, check us out at 2:30 today, where you'll join herpetology keeper Courtney, who's going to talk about some of the snakes and turtles and other herps that you'll see out, so reptiles, amphibians that you guys might see out while you're out on your Memorial Day plans. Again, stay safe, everybody. We miss you. Social distance really well, and then hopefully we will see you back here sooner rather than later at the museum. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.